In this video, we're going to be looking at the Diver Plus log app in conjunction with the Aqua i330R dive computer. If you're a regular to the channel, you'll know that Mark Evans recently reviewed this budget dive computer. If you're not, then there is a link in the description, and while you're down there, make sure you dive on that subscribe button. My name's Ross and I wear many hats. Today proposing to be the digital expert, and we're going to walk through the DiverLog Plus app. So let's jump right into the video. So what we're going to do first is we are going to head over to the product page, which I will leave a link in the description. And basically from here we can access the DiverLog Plus app, which is a third-party app. So Aqua have teamed up with them to access the dive computer settings. There is a free version and there is a paid-for version. You do not need to get the paid-for version if you don't want to. The free version will allow you to access all your dive computer settings, make all the customizations, update the firmware, and also log your dives, which, you know, is pretty handy if you're just starting out and you're still logging all your dives. You want to do away with the pen and paper. It's available for iOS, so Apple devices. It's also available for Android. There's also a desktop client for Mac and Windows if you want to update your dive logs on your desktop. So we're going to head over to the DiverLog Plus app now. What we need to do first is make sure the dive computer is turned on. We're going to come into devices and then we're just going to hit add new device. This computer already came with Bluetooth turned on, but if it's not, it gives you pretty detailed instructions on how to find your Bluetooth settings. Click start, and then we're scanning for the device. Hopefully it shouldn't take too long. There we go, i330R. Now I'm the only one here, but if there are more people, say this is a rental unit, or you know, a couple of buddies have just bought the same dive computer, and for some reason you're all syncing up at the same time, you click my device and then it shows a passcode on the dive computer. We're just going to tap that in, so 2990-105, and that just makes sure that we are on our computer and not synced to somebody else's, which would be a bit silly. So we're now into the device settings, and if we just hold down the screen, it brings up enter the owner's name. So let's just put in my name, and now I can see if I've got multiple devices. Maybe you dive with a main computer and a backup, which is, you know, quite possible, especially if you're a bit more an advanced diver and you do a lot of liveaboard trips. It's always good to have a backup dive computer, and sort of at this price point, this would be a good backup computer to the i750. So we then click into the device and we have a number of different options. It's showing us the firmware that is currently installed. We have the serial number, the last time it was synced, and a host of information about the dives that we've been doing. You then go into my information, fill out your details, blood type, contacts. You can change the display settings. So if you want to get a longer battery life out of your computer, then knock that brightness down to 50%. You can change the dim settings. You have your time and date, which you can quite easily change on the phone. You have your gas mixes, so this is capable of the 3 gas mix from 21% up to 100%. So you can put those gases in here and send them over to the computer. You have your alarm, so if you're somebody that loves to hear your watch beeping at you in the water, then you know, this is for you. If not, then you can simply turn off your audible alarms. You have your max depth, your elapsed time, your dive time remaining, so there are various alarm options. You have your units, so metric or imperial. You have your conservative factors, whether you want deep stops, your water type, and your safety stops. And then once you've done all that, what you need to do is in the upper right hand corner here is make sure you hit the sync button. If you don't hit the sync button, that information is going to stay on the app and it's not going to go across the dive computer. So it's now writing to the device, and there we go, the device is fully updated. So that is customizing your dive computer through the app. One other thing to obviously look at is checking for the latest firmware, and I would suggest as soon as you buy your dive computer, you make sure that you check that you have the latest firmware. There's also another tab here for references which gives you the manual, so you have a quick guide which will give you some information about the buttons and the menu, and then you have a full owner's manual if you want to go into a bit more detail. But I think that the dive computer is pretty intuitive. It's not too difficult to work. You know, it is only a budget unit, so it's nice and simple. Going back to the app itself, as I say, this is a third-party app, so you can connect other dive computers here and bring in your logs from previous computers, as long as they have some sort of connect function either to a computer or via Bluetooth. You can fill in your basic information here, so name, address, contact information, and then you can also put in your certifications as well. So take a photo of your cards, put in the agencies and all the information, and save that. And then if you are like me and you often take your cards out of your wallet just as you're about to do a trip to make sure that you have them and then forget to put them back in, at least you have a digital record of those cards, which should be good enough for most dive centres. If it's not, at least you have the information to hand so they can check with the agency. Once you've done that, you are into the actual logbook itself. Now, this is great if you're a person that loves to log your dives. If you're just getting into diving and you want to make sure that you're keeping track of, you know, where you've dived, when you've dived, how deep you've dived, then this is the app for you. It will sync with your computer, obviously, so it's going to transfer all those dives that you've done already and put them into your dive log. And it's going to keep your profile, your time, your depth, your temperature, and then you can also add in other information like what tank you was using, the dive gear that you was using, who you was diving with. You can add photos, you can add videos, and you can add notes if you want to as well. So, you know, it's a really handy sort of dive log. And then you can just rate your dives as well. So if it was a particularly good dive, then, you know, 5 stars. If not, then you can rate it however you want. If you don't have access to your previous dives digitally, or you want to bring in the last 10 or so dives from a paper logbook, all you got to do is top right hand corner, hit that plus sign, and then we're going to enter that data in manually. It's going to ask us whether we want to do that in imperial or metric. We're going to say metric. We then have information about the dive sites. So you can have a look through here and see if they've been listed, but if not, top right hand corner, and then you can just put in the name of the dive site. Try and be as accurate as possible. I think looking at this, other people may have access to that dive site list. I'm not quite sure. You can add in the city, the state, the GPS coordinates, so you can try and get as accurate as possible, and then you can put in the conditions as well, the diving conditions, the surf, the swell, the surge, the temperature. Try and track as much information as you can, and then we get on to the actual dive itself. So the date, the time, the depth, the bottom time, the surface interval, and then going over, you've got your cylinder information, so what you went in with, what you came out with. And then again, you have what gear you was diving with. You can add in your weights, you can add in your dive buddy. So there's a lot of customization that can be done within inside the DiverLog Plus app. And as I say, all free. You then have settings for the app itself, beginning with the number of dives that you've done. So make sure you stick that in there if you're not a freshly minted diver. Time, date, language, and then obviously privacy permissions as well, whether you're allowing the app to collect your data to improve the app, or whether you want to block that. Obviously, data and privacy policies are pretty critical nowadays, so make sure you have a look at that as a priority. Then you have a few different bits and pieces, so you can add your dive buddies in here, Mark being my main dive buddy. You can have locations where you've dived, and you can also look at some of the dive stats as well. So once you've built up a fairly decent log, you can get information on your diving. So the number of sites that you've done, your sort of average depth, your average dive time, and you can see how you're improving over time. You can also make searches if you've got a large number of dives in there, which, you know, after a few years of somebody diving pretty regularly, you probably will do. It's pretty simple. As I say, it's free. You don't need to pay for the premium version. There is a premium version if you want to get it. I know one of the comments was that they didn't like Aqua because they were forced to buy a premium version, but that isn't the case. You know, the app is completely free and it allows you to do all your customization without spending any additional money. So that's it for the DiverLog Plus app. Are you going to be ditching your paper dive log for something a little more digital? Is the DiverLog Plus app something that you're going to download and give it a go on the next dive that you do, whether that be with the Aqua i330R or a dive computer that you've already got? Let us know in the comments. As always, if you've got a question, just make sure you ask. If we can't answer it, then I'm sure somebody in our growing community will be able to. And we will see you next time. Bye.